Nobody could handle this cat. 3 fosters tried, 3 fosters returned him. They all said the same thing. He's aggressive, he's broken, he's too far gone. But one woman looked past the anger and asked a question nobody else had bothered to ask. And what she discovered changed everything she thought she knew about what a broken animal actually looks like. Megan had fostered 11 cats before Marmalade. She knew the scared ones, the feral ones, the ones who hid under beds for 3 weeks and then one day walked out and claimed the couch like they'd always owned it. She thought she had seen every version of a damaged cat there was. She had not seen Marmalade. He arrived on a Tuesday evening in a gray plastic carrier delivered by a rescue volunteer named Beth, who set the carrier down in Megan's hallway, stepped back, and said quietly, "I have to be honest with you, he's our hardest case right now. 3 fosters couldn't keep him. He doesn't eat unless you leave the room. He won't let anyone touch him. He bit the last foster badly enough that she needed a bandage." Beth paused. "He's been in the system for 47 days. If this doesn't work, we're running out of options." Megan looked at the carrier. Through the metal door, she could see 2 amber eyes staring back at her, unblinking, furious. The expression of a cat who had decided that the entire world was guilty of something and was waiting for a formal apology. "I'll take it one day at a time," Megan said. Beth looked relieved and left quickly, the way people do when they've handed off a problem they weren't sure was solvable. Marmalade did not come out of the carrier that night, or the next morning. Megan left food near the door and sat on the other side of the room with a book, not looking at him directly, not speaking. She had learned a long time ago that silence was sometimes the only language a frightened animal could trust. Quick question. If a cat hissed at you every single time you walked past, would you keep trying or would you give up? Drop your answer in the comments. On day 3, Marmalade emerged. He walked to the food bowl, ate exactly half of it, looked at Megan with an expression of profound contempt, and walked back to the carrier. Progress, Megan thought. Slow progress, but progress. By day 5, he had claimed the corner behind the radiator. By day 8, he had moved to the windowsill, which Megan took as a significant development because it meant he wanted to see outside, which meant some part of him was still curious about the world, which meant some part of him was still reachable. She started leaving her hand near the edge of his space, not reaching toward him, just present, available, a hand that was simply there, not asking for anything. On day 11, Marmalade walked past her hand and his tail brushed her fingers. He kept walking and didn't look back, but he had done it deliberately. Megan was certain of that. It was the rescue coordinator who finally told her the full history on day 14. Marmalade had been found in a container behind a supermarket, along with 4 other cats. He was the only adult. He had clearly been living rough for a long time, matted fur, infected gums, a healed fracture in his left front leg that nobody had ever treated properly. The vet estimated he was between 4 and 6 years old. He had survived entirely on his own for what appeared to be years. The anger wasn't personality, it was armor, every single piece of it. Megan sat with that information for a long time that evening. She looked at Marmalade on his windowsill, watching the street below with the focused intensity of a cat who had spent years needing to know exactly what was coming before it arrived. And she understood, finally, what she was actually dealing with. Not an aggressive cat, a cat who had learned that the only reliable safety was the kind you created entirely by yourself. If you're still here and haven't subscribed yet, honestly, that stings a little. Hit subscribe. You'll want to see where this goes. The cone arrived after week 3. Marmalade had been worrying at a small wound on his side, an old scar that had reopened, and the vet said he needed to wear it for 10 days minimum. Megan brought him home from the appointment and set him down in the hallway.
Marmalade stood completely still for a long moment, wearing his cone, and stared at the wall in front of him with an expression that could only be described as existential offense. Then he turned and looked at Megan with those amber eyes, and the message was absolutely clear. You did this. You are responsible for this. I am remembering this. Megan sat down on the floor cross-legged and looked back at him. I know, she said. I'm sorry. It has to stay on. Marmalade walked stiffly to his spot behind the radiator and sat with his back to the room for 45 minutes. Then he walked out, crossed the floor, and lay down approximately 8 inches from Megan's leg, not touching, but close. It was the closest he had ever voluntarily been to another living thing in the entire time she had known him. Here's something most people don't realize. Cats who have lived feral or semi-feral for extended periods don't experience trust the way a socialized cat does. For them, choosing to be near a human isn't affection, it's an enormous act of courage. Every inch Marmalade closed that distance took more bravery than most people will ever understand. Does that change how you see a so-called difficult cat? The 10 days with the cone passed slowly. Marmalade wore his indignation like a second layer of fur and accepted Megan's twice-daily wound checks with the tolerant suffering of someone enduring a great injustice. But he stopped going back to the carrier. He stopped retreating when she walked past. On day 7 of the cone, he ate his entire bowl of food without waiting for her to leave the room. On day 9, he put his paw on her hand. Not a swipe, not a warning, a paw placed deliberately on top of her fingers and left there for 4 full seconds before he withdrew it and looked away, as if the whole thing had been an accident. Megan didn't move. She didn't speak. She just sat there with tears running down her face in her kitchen on a Wednesday afternoon because a cat who had been written off by 3 fosters and 47 days of a system running out of patience had just decided, in his own time and on his own terms, that maybe one person was worth the risk. The foster paperwork sat unsigned on her kitchen counter for another week. Then Megan picked up a pen and marked the box that changed his status from foster to permanent. Marmalade is not an easy cat. He still has opinions about everything and shares them loudly. He still looks at strangers like they owe him a formal written apology. He still occasionally sits with his back to the room when something displeases him, which is his right. But every night without fail, he sleeps pressed against Megan's legs. And every morning, before she is fully awake, she feels the small, deliberate weight of a paw placed on her hand. Just for a moment, just long enough to say, "I see you. I chose you. That's enough." Some animals don't need saving. They need someone patient enough to wait while they save themselves. Was Marmalade too difficult, or did he just need the right person? Tell me in the comments.